Hi, folks. Welcome to Smart Family. So I am so excited to introduce Caroline Kelly, who is the owner of Fit Financial Coaching. And she also is a member of the Better Business Bureau, which we are recording in the Better Business Bureau podcast studio. So welcome.
Thank you for having me, Daphne. It's great to be here.
Well, I am so excited to interview you because you're not a financial advisor. You are a financial coach. So you take people who basically may have mismanaged their money or may want to learn how to manage it properly, and you work with them.
Yes, we work with their day-to-day financial behaviors so that way they can handle their money better, have more money to do what they want to do. So for people who are like, I'm living paycheck to paycheck, don't know where the money's going, we really zone in and say, here's where the money's going. Is it working for you the way you want it to? And if not, we change those behaviors so it's working for them the right way.
That's a fantastic service that people have because, you know, one of the things that we know in school, they don't teach you how to manage your money.
No, they don't.
Which is like, really? I'm sure there are some schools nowadays that come up with it, but it's not a standard curriculum. We have math, we have science, we have, you know, all these things, but we don't have what happens when we get a job and we have a paycheck. Right. So I want to hear a little bit about your story and what made you interested in getting in this. Because, I mean, there's a lot that goes on into being a financial coach. And I mean, it is, I would assume, a very intimate relationship in terms of really getting to know somebody. But I know there's a story behind it for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I went through my own financial journey. There was a poor business decision that went through that instantaneously cost me 6 figures worth of debt. At that moment, there was a lot of shame and devastation along the way on that because here you are. One day you're doing okay. One day it's just a switch and you're in a different direction.
Yeah.
So for me, it was more, let's figure out how to get this in the right place. And as I started to work through this, there weren't the resources for that. There were resources on how to perform in the market and things such as that. But it wasn't someone who was like, listen, what's going on here? And the ones who wanted to give me advice were not handling their money properly. So that was not going to be helping, right? So it's like bad advice. So along the way, I found out about coaching and how coaching can help move people through their process. Mm-hmm. So I got certified as a coach and a master financial coach. And I decided that as my process went through, I want to help others do this.
Right.
I want to be that person to sit with you and look at you across the table like this and say, listen, what's going on in your life that's causing this?
Right.
And a lot comes up, right? A lot bubbles to the top. Like, I don't know how to, I have adult children that are at home and I don't know how to have that conversation about money with them. And we start to work through that. What does that look like? What are the boundaries around your money? What is your financial language? That's what I usually like to use with people in my coaching tools. I have a process that I like to use with people on what's your financial language? What have you heard? What is going on? And you can rewrite it. And as a coach, I help people rewrite their financial language. And what do you want it to look like? And what does it have to be to get there?
Right.
Yeah.
So with you and your story and getting to where you are in your process of getting out of debt, what did you learn in that process that helped you get out of debt, first of all, because you no longer have that debt and you got out of it in a very short period of time? What tools, because I know you said that you were looking for some financial coaches, but how did you get out of that?
I got out of it by being intentional. Intentionality was the biggest thing for me along the way here. Every day going, hey, is this working for me? And hey, I have to give up a few things right now. There's a give up, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I have to clean some things up. You got to give a few things up for a little bit. So later on, I can do it again, do other things that I want to do that are more important to me. So really getting those priorities in order and saying, listen, this is my priority and I want to do this. And what do you want retirement to look like? Well, don't wait until you're 64 and a half to go, hey, I want to retire at 65 or whatever it will be. It's what do you want that to look like now, and are you in trajectory for that?
Right.
And really playing the long game and really understanding that a few sacrifices today and right now are going to make tomorrow even better. And it did. It did.
Yes, and so today is now tomorrow.
Today is now tomorrow.
So now you've basically turned yourself around and you are now teaching people the things that you've learned to be successful in their lives.
Absolutely. I sit with people and work with them through that towards their goals. I love working with couples who are getting married to bring them together right from the beginning so they have the right conversations. The statistics are marriage is now divorce is number one right now for individuals. Is money problems?
Oh yeah,
it's
huge.
number one. It's number one.
Yeah, that's huge.
So really starting from the beginning with them on that, and for other individuals who are now they were married and they're now divorced.
Yes.
I've experienced that. And they're rewriting their language. They had somebody there, and good or bad, the conversations were there, and there was somebody, now it's just them.
Right.
What does that look like? So sitting with people and really walking with them in their specific, detailed situation. Every person I meet, while some are similar, everyone's different. And we sit down and actually customize those things for them.
Well, what I want to know is what's some of the similarities that you get with people who tend to mismanage their funds? I'm curious.
The number one thing is eating out. I mean, like, we're in the biggest fast-paced world that we've ever been in. I mean, things are coming at us faster than we can even, I call it the treadmill, right? It's just coming at you, and you're just running. And it's easy to go through, and it's all right to go through a drive-through, and all right to have a restaurant budget. But when people start to look at where they're spending on it, their food budgets are probably higher than some of their mortgages.
I believe that.
Oh, yeah.
I believe that.
That would be the number one.
Yeah. Okay. That's really interesting.
Yes.
So you're validating.
Yes.
You're
I'm
validating my
validating.
theories. Yes. Well, because
Validating.
that's one of the things that I often tell, especially young people. I give them two general advices, whether it's offered or not.
Yeah.
Because I want people to succeed, especially young people. And I tell them number one is I call it the dripplings. You call it fast pace of life, but the dripplings are this. When we go through Starbucks drive-through, when we go looking for conveniences, when we buy the salad that's already prepared, these are $5, $6 here and there that you're throwing away in the trash every day for simply doing it yourself. And by doing it yourself, by doing more for yourself, you stay fit.
Yes.
You're using your body more. You have less health issues, and you also know what's going in your body. So that's definitely one thing. So you tell people to cut that out and do more for themselves at home instead of going out, right?
Right. And they actually look at it and say, wait a minute here. Wow, we can cut this in a fourth. And they've cut it drastically, which therefore gives them more money, so they have more money to pay off their debts or save for their future or go on that vacation or whatever they want to do. They don't realize every month you're doing something like this. You multiply it by 12, $500 is quite a bit every year, right? It's $6,000 a year. I mean, so this is where we start to nickel and dime those pieces in here. And you're right. It's a subconscious thing. Like you said, if you just go and make the food yourself, you have to put thought and process into that, and intentionality every day, right?
Yep.
And then it's just like we kind of go subconscious sometimes, and we just are like trying to survive in the moment rather than thinking it through.
Right. And usually when you think things through, you also have more control over your life.
Yes. Yes.
Like all of this correlates. You know? So, and I always say that, again, it's so interesting that you say that, because the foundation for me is feeding yourself, doing things for yourself, and then everything else tends to correlate.
Yes.
But getting back to being financially fit, those are some of the general things that you see people like wasting their money on. But for example, like some of the general, and I know everybody is individually, and you take on all different kinds of clients, and you also offer a very fair fee. As a matter of fact, when we talked, I was like, wow, that's super fair. But not only that, what I love about that is that you're doing a lot of things on your own. You have workshops that you offer too, but you're able to take on people, because when people are in a financial problem and they hire somebody to help them, they're having a hard time managing their money. So to pay somebody $2,000 a month or something is ridiculous. So your fees, your range that you have, I think you told me was between, I don't want to misquote, but you start at $125 depending on there and go up from there.
Yes, correct.
So it just depends, and sometimes you have a sliding scale fee depending on the individual, because you really want to help people.
Yes, absolutely.
So when people meet up with you, it becomes very personalized. So you evaluate, you go through their finances. Can you tell me a little about the process?
Sure. The first thing I do with people is I don't even look at their finances at first. I talk to them. What made the biggest thing? What made them come in? What made you reach out for help and support? And we have a conversation. And in that moment, it's kind of like you and I talking right now over a cup of coffee. Tell me what's going on. And we get to the pain point of what's happening, right? It's, I just never knew how to handle money. I wish I would have learned this before. We've talked about that before. And that's a big piece. And then I say, okay, where are you at right now? And we go over some basic finances. And then what we do is we actually set a budget. And I know budget is a 4-letter word for most people, but budget isn't a constraining item. A budget, it's a game plan.
Yeah.
The hardest thing that most people do is they look at their bank statement. Like, you pull up your bank statement on the phone and you're like, hey, I've got $500 in the bank account. I can go out to dinner with my friends. But that money is spoken for in there. It's spoken for the electric bill or whatever else is going on.
Yes.
And the budget's like, this is the line for food, this is how much is allocated, this is how much you have spent, and this is how much is left. And it can be simple and easy. So in my process, I explain to people, you need to make your day-to-day money behaviors just as simple as brushing your teeth or making your bed. And that's what I help people with. We get over the fear and the stress of finances, everyday finances, to do that. And most of my clients are getting out of debt all the time, and all that money is going back in their pocket every month. So therefore, they can invest more with advisors. They can save for that house they want. They can make the new goals and put that money towards those goals. So we're constantly showing how a budget will allow them to do that.
Yeah. That's fantastic. I mean,
Yes.
I budget a 4-letter word. It's
It
a
is.
beautiful 4-letter word.
It's a beautiful 4-letter word. We love it. We
Yes,
love
we
it.
do.
And people go from hating it to loving it because they realize, wow, this is simple.
Yeah.
You don't have to make this complicated. It does not have to be double entry bookkeeping. This is personal finance. This is what's coming in and where's it going.
Right.
And really keeping it simple.
Now, with people living within the budget, you basically get people going to a point where they've met like their financial goals, where meaning like they're out of debt or whatever their financial troubles is. And then from there, you advise them to either, go on with a financial advisor, where to invest their money. That's not something that you would take care of at all.
No, the financial advisor, actually, part of the coaching that I do with a lot of people is they're afraid to talk to an advisor. They're like, oh, I'm so afraid to do that. I don't understand it. It's so overwhelming. Again, similar to what the budget was, right? Or any other part of their finances. As a coach, I sit down with them and say, tell me what that looks like for you. What does it look like to talk to an advisor? What does it look like to interview an advisor? What do you want them to, what type of traits from them do you want? And they tell me, this is what I would like. Okay, well, let's go ahead. And so just kind of doing that coaching piece, think about the baseball or football coach, right? Like some people, it's one step at a time. Sometimes you can push them pretty hard. And as a coach, I start to figure out what that is with a person and specialize in that.
Right.
And say, okay, you need a little hand. Okay, we're going to go a little at a time. Or some people, it's like, hey, what's holding you back from just reaching out and asking? What's your advisor like now? What's the communication you have with them? Reach out to them. They don't know you need their help. And so really getting them in those places and allowing them to see your budget stays with you for your life, but what shows up in your budget changes.
Sure.
So that's a big piece. When debt's done, you get to make savings lines. Replacement cars, houses, whatever you're looking to do. And each person's individual and specific towards what they want.
I wish that they would offer like a financially fit course in high school before all these kids graduate. Because I mean, think about if people understand. It's such a thing that people miss on how to manage their money.
Yes.
But if they knew how to manage their money right, they would get so much further ahead in life.
Yeah.
When I see an elderly person working at like a McDonald's or a Walmart, it breaks my heart.
Yeah.
It just shouldn't be.
No. Unless they want to, right?
Right,
Unless
right,
they
sure.
want to, unless they
Yeah,
want
sure.
to, right?
There are a lot of people
because they
that
have
choose
to.
But the ones that have to, that's just like, or because a medical thing happened, or just something where they skip a beat, and then it just causes this domino effect. But to have the foundation of like, because there are everything, we're all going to run into financial troubles in life, right? But it's like, it's having the knowledge to know what to do when that happens and getting yourself out of that situation, not continuing to exacerbate that hole that you're sinking in, And
as a coach, a lot of my clients, I'll work with them, and we have a coaching relationship is what I call it. Our relationships change. Sometimes in the beginning they need me more, and then it's kind of that check-in period. Sometimes they check in with me once or twice a year. Sometimes they check in with me every quarter. It's each person's individual, right? But then when they go through, like you said, those pieces where, wait a minute, we're going to sell a house and move across the country. This is a huge financial piece. How do we do this right?
Yes.
We sit down and go, okay, what have you thought through? rather than just letting life happen to you. You're actually happening to your life in that moment, and that's a big piece here.
Yeah, which is huge. I mean, I've known of a lot of people who sold their home and they've taken equity and they've just blown it.
Yes.
And they regret it, and now they're renting and they don't have that kind of cash to buy a house.
Yeah.
You know?
Because more money magnifies the behavior.
Yeah.
So if you aren't in that moment where you're like, hey, I've got these things straightened out, a bonus, a raise, all gets absorbed in your life, and you don't see it or feel it. And then you get that feeling of, wait a minute, or even a house, right? That large piece of money.
Yeah.
It can get pretty much blown quickly.
Yeah, it can. But with like a financially fit, if you haven't had any training or discipline in managing your money, hiring somebody like you would be instrumental at a reasonable fee, I would say, for sure.
Absolutely.
So let's shift gears just a little bit. You know, we're here at the Better Business Bureau.
I love them.
The reason why we're and that's why I'm like so excited to interview you, because of the fact that you're a fan of the Better Business Bureau just like I am.
Yes, they're wonderful.
You are a small business owner and you utilize a lot of the services that they have to offer. So can you tell me about some of the benefits of being a Better Business Bureau member?
Absolutely. The Better Business Bureau is got great office space here along the way. So I come in every now and then and I just have a workshop here. It's centrally located, so it's amazing. I'm also one of their igniters. So I have some Ignite space next door where I come in and do my office work with other business owners. There's networking, there's abilities to have classes and lessons. They give a lot to the actual businesses, and you can come in and get to know them, and you're like, listen, I need this. And they're like, we know somebody who can help you with that. And that connection's amazing.
Yeah, so it's not just a membership.
It's not just a membership.
You're not paying a membership fee, you're paying a fee to get support.
Yes, it's definitely support. I never thought of it as a membership. I just look at it as this is something where I'm getting help and support along the way. I just got an email yesterday from them that's like, hey, what can we do to help you? And what do you need? And you just check off what you need. And I'm like, hey, I'd like you to look at my website, or hey, I'd like you to do this. And you just send it back to them and they reach out to you.
God,
and it's amazing.
Great. This is fantastic. So you have all the support that you need to do your business and keep it at the pace that you want to do it, so you can take care of all of your clients. Plus, you have this wonderful partnership and with the Better Business Bureau, which is really good. One of the reasons why you're doing very ethical business, and that's why you're sitting here on my podcast. So
Thank you.
I commend you for doing ethical business in our community. Not only that, but you're also helping people in our community, and you're doing it for a reasonable price, Caroline. So I appreciate you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Daphne. I appreciate you and everything you're doing.
Yes. So win-win all the way around.
Win-win.
So if you guys want to get a hold of Caroline Kelly, who is with Fit Financial Coaching, just head over to my blog at smartshopperdaphne.com. I'll have a link to her page where you can schedule an appointment or meet with her. And I'm telling you, if you guys are really thinking about, just getting a little bit of advice, especially you young guys out there who are starting out and maybe you got a big job and you don't know how to manage. I mean, what's a couple $100 to sit down with somebody so later on you know how they're making the right decisions.
Absolutely.
You like that?
I love it. I'm ready to help them.
Well, I hope to have you back on Smart Living Podcast. So thanks again, Caroline, and you have a great rest of your day. And I will, again, you guys, I appreciate you tuning in. And don't forget, I'm Daphne Monroe, your smart shopper.